everyone, and welcome back to another EU4 video. Today we're going to be doing a guide for the nation of Florence in EU4 1.34. Florence is one of those nations in Italy that doesn't start out very powerful. You only have 3 provinces. However, you can take Florence from being a somewhat insignificant 3-province nation in Italy to owning not only the entire Italian peninsula, but potentially even all of the Mediterranean and Iberia and more if that is your playstyle. However, the first thing you need to do with Florence is set up the estates. Now, we're going to give out religious diplomats for the clergy. We are also going to give out oversight by the clergy. And we're not going to give out clerical advisory council again because of the stab cost. And then we are also going to give out religious state. The nobility, we're going to go ahead and give supremacy over the council. Right of council, we're not going to give out aristocratic councillors again because of the stab cost. And we are going to give out primacy of the nobility. For the burghers, we're going to give out free enterprise. We are not going to give out indebted to the burghers, and I'll tell you why. We are going to give out patrons of the arts, not commercial advisory board, and we are going to give out land of commerce. We are going to summon the diet and see whichever agenda best suits you. I'm going to go ahead and go with this deving one here in Florence. Now, the reason you did not take the indebted to the burghers, which you sometimes should do, depending on how wealthy you start, is because of this. In order to complete this mission, you cannot have any loans. So number of loans less than 1. And you need to make 12, which we are not making yet, but you can do this very easily. You just focus and hire a level 1 advisor. For your advisors, it depends on which ones you get. Ideally, for your Diplo advisor, you'd want either an improved relations or diplomatic reputation guy. I have a Diplo rep guy, so I'm going to hire them. However, just hire whichever one is there for you. For your military advisors, ideally, you'd want a morale of armies or discipline. All we have here is a fort defense and a land force limit guy, so we'll just go ahead and hire the fort defense. And for your admin advisor, you have Donatello here, however, he is too expensive. We're not making that much money. So you can hire whichever one here that you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and hire this stab cost guy. And as you can see here, since we are making 12 Diplo per month after focusing, we can complete this mission, which is affable leadership. Our next mission is going to be ally with 2 countries with capitals in Italy. This mission is very, very important as it is going to give us claims on a good chunk of Italy here. So, usually right off the bat as Florence, you were able to ally Milan, which is a very good ally. See who they're rival to. Typically, Milan is rivaled to Venice. Definitely get Milan and the Pope if you can. However, I've noticed that in most of my tester runs, the Pope does actually rival you. So you can't really do that, unfortunately, in our case. As you can see, he doesn't like us. Your next ally in Italy should probably be Saluzzo or another one of these. However, what we're going to do is try to ally Austria. As with Austria, they are the emperor of the HRE, and we are currently in the empire, as you can see here. And depending on what happens with the Shadow Kingdom, whether everyone chooses to stay or go, you will be forced to choose whether to stay. And we're going to ally the Austrians, number 1, because they will help us in Italy, especially against Venice, and number 2, because if we choose to stay in the Empire, we will be able to do that, since Austria is the Emperor, and as long as they maintain the emperorship. So we're going to go ahead and royal marry the Austrians. We are not going to set any rivals yet, just because, again, it can sometimes interfere with the alliances that you're going to get, so wait at least a couple months, at the very least wait until you have allied the Austrians, then set your rivals. As you can see here, we have low crown land. However, that doesn't really matter. We'll just go ahead and seize the land. Now, you might get a disaster from the burghers. It depends on their influence and stuff. You might get a disaster. If you do, don't worry. That only lasts a month or 2 and it will go away. So don't worry. You don't have to do anything. We have some decisions available. This restraint of appeals. This is a reformation thing. Don't do this unless, I don't know, for some reason you like everyone around you having negative relations of you, so don't do that. So we're going to go ahead and unpause and see what the alliance networks look like. We'll try to ally Austria, we can go ahead and set them as friendly. Ideally, in Italy, whenever you're playing Italy, you're usually able to ally both Austria and France. So we'll just go ahead and see what these alliances look like. And then we can go from there. We have a royal marriage from Milan. Now, when it comes to your navy, we don't have a very big navy. You can build up some light ships once you have enough money. And actually, what we're going to go ahead and do, now that we took that mission, we can take indebted to the burghers. So we're able to build up a fleet. You can build up some galleys. You can build up a couple more light ships. And we can also build up to our force limit, which is 11. And our current ruler is Cosimo, so we'll see how good of a general he is. Actually, a very good general. All right. So you can either, depending on how much money you're making, you can just bring your army maintenance down. And as far as your ships, you can send the one light ship that you have to protect trade, and whichever one makes you the most. As you can see here, it's Alexandria. Send it to go home during war. All right, so our army is done. During this time, what you can do is see which one of these small one-province minors that surround you, see what their allies are. So, Bologna is usually the easiest target, however, they, for some reason, always get really big allies. So, as you can see in our case, they've allied Hungary. In other cases, they'll ally, I've seen them ally France, I've seen them ally Austria, the Pope is quite common for Bologna. Luca, as you can see here, is allied to Provence, so that's not that big of a deal. And Siena, their only ally is our ally Milan. So we can go ahead and start building a spy network here on Luca. And as far as the second mission goes, which is the Italian League, we can find another nation. It really doesn't have to be anyone big. I would not suggest allying anyone around you, so don't ally Siena or Luca. The best choice is probably going to be Saluzzo, just because they have really good national ideas and because they are a one-province minor and you can curry favors with them a lot easier. Don't ally Provence. Sure, they're bigger, but a lot of times they'll get attacked by the French or they'll get attacked by someone else. So ally Saluzzo as the best choice. Them and Milan. So as you can see, we've completed this mission here, and we get permanent claims. So we don't actually have to build a spy network on Luca. I was wrong about that. And what we can do here now is just turn up army maintenance and go in and attack Luca. I forgot to mention, now is the time for you to rival people, see who your enemies are. In our case, it is Ferrara, the Papal State, and Genoa. We're about to attack Luca, so go ahead and rival Luca. Go ahead and rival Siena. And you can rival the Pope too if you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and rival Bologna, as these are the people I'm most likely to attack. So we are ready here to attack Luca, and Milan would join with the Promise of Land. However, we don't really need them. I don't really know even what we would give them, so we're not going to go ahead and do that. And let's go. We should be able to just snack wipe Luca's army immediately, and that was our navy that just got attacked. All right, we stack wipe Luca's army, and basically what we need to do here, take the horses out so you're able to siege faster. This is only 3 units needed to siege here, so you can just maintain 3. And yeah, I'll check back in with you after we've won this Luca war. And once you wipe peace, Provence or any ally or allies that Luca might have, just peace out with Luca and full annex them. It is quite a bit of AE since Luca is in the Empire, but it ultimately doesn't matter. You won't have a coalition of anyone, so just full annex Luca and take all of their money. After you've fully annexed Luca, you can chill for a few months, bring your army maintenance down, mothball your forts, and then look at the nations that surround you. So we have Siena, Bologna, and Ferrara, and see which alliance networks are the least difficult. Now, in our case, Ferrara's allied to Savoy and the Papal State, which is not too bad. Bologna is allied to Hungary and the Pope. I don't even know how that happened, but okay. And then Siena is allied to Milan. Now, unfortunately, Milan is our ally as well. However, we do have more troops than Milan if we were to hire a merc company, and we will be able to just fully stack wipe Siena's army. So, unfortunately, we are going to have to backstab our own ally, but if we don't do that, then we won't be able to expand. So we're going to raise up army maintenance and activate all of our forts, let the morale tick up, and then attack Siena. Alright, so our army has full morale. What we can do here is we'll go ahead and attack Siena, and again, it's unfortunate because we are going to have to fight Milan, but otherwise we wouldn't be able to expand. So go ahead and attack Siena, and go right in and stack wipe their army. You should be able to stack wipe their army instantly, just like that, and wait for Milan. Alright, so we just finished sieging down Siena. Milan actually attacked me, because I guess I had my troops split off. I had only 3k there and had the rest away, so they weren't taking attrition. They actually attacked me and lost, so now I can chase them down and hopefully stack wipe their army. There we go, I just stack wiped the entire Milanese army. And they should possibly be able to white peace. No, they don't want to white peace yet, so this was just a very lucky case. I was not expecting them to come down. They just started walking here, and I thought they were going to sit on my capital. But they didn't. They went right past it and just attacked me. But I beat them, and now they're stack wiped. So that probably won't happen in your game, but again, with any nation that they have as an ally, just go, siege down a few of their provinces, maybe a fort if it's necessary, and then white peace them. You don't want to spend too much time fighting the secondary allies, the secondary participants in a war when you're just going to full annex the main person anyway. When it comes to Siena, what you are going to do is just full annex them. It is quite a bit of AE, however, it is definitely worth it, and again, it's a lot more AE because we are still technically in the Holy Roman Empire, but so that's all you really need to do. You just fully annex Siena, take all of their money, and core it. And as you can see, Milan actually offered me the alliance back, so sure, we'll go ahead and take it. We might have to fight them again, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll go ahead and accept that alliance back. Once that war is over, what you can do here is just bring down your army maintenance and mothball your forts and then chill for a bit. You might be getting some rebels, although it has been not too long since we started the game, so rebels have not had time to pop yet. Once you annex your rivals, in our case, set some new ones here. We're not going to rival Milan, we'll go ahead and rival Genoa. And also, I forgot to mention this, make sure you embargo all of your rivals. So embargo Ferrara, and especially embargo Genoa, as well as the Papal State. In our game, Naples just became free, so what you should do is recall some of your diplomats and start building a spy network on Naples. We do have a sea tile border on them, which will allow us to fabricate claims on Naples. We're going to have so much innovativeness as Florence, so in our case, we have the Diplo technology very early, especially since we were focusing on Diplo, so go ahead and take and get that extra innovativeness. It's going to help you out a lot. Also, don't forget to build buildings in all your centers of trade buildings. In our case, we're going to go ahead and build one in Firenze, and then once we have the money, we'll add some in both Pisa and Luca. Since Naples is a republic, unfortunately, we have elections, and right now, Cosimo, our amazing ruler, one of the best rulers in the start of the game, has unfortunately died. So you can select any one of the candidates. Sometimes if you see a really good candidate like this, you can select them. Again, it just depends what you want. I'm going to select the beloved relative of Cosimo since he is very good, and usually these candidates from the same family usually become really good. This might happen to you in your game, especially if you are rivaled with the Pope. The Pope will hate you and excommunicate you. Do not panic, it's not that big of a deal. What you can do here is go to the papacy and buy indulgences for your sins. Unfortunately, we do not have enough money to do that, so what we'll go ahead and do is just take out a loan. I believe, how much was it? It is 103, so we'll take out 2 loans, and we can just go ahead and buy indulgences and wait 1 month, and look, we lost the effects of excommunication. It is always worth to buy and get loans to buy indulgences for your sins if you're excommunicated. It is always worth it. I forgot to show this. I was able to link up with Austria, which is an excellent ally, very good ally to have. they will help you out against Venice and pretty much any other allies. It also means that since I'm in the Empire, I no longer will get asked for unlawful territory, which will make everyone hate me. The bad news is that I was not quick enough on spying on Naples, so as you can see, they actually got Austria as an ally, which is very unfortunate. It is quite common. Don't despair. If you have Austria as an ally, you can always just ask them to break it or declare on Naples sooner or later. Naples usually does end up losing a lot of these very powerful alliances because they'll get attacked by Aragon, or they'll do something dumb, or they'll anger the Pope, and then the Pope will attack them. So don't worry. If, like in my case, you were too slow, or you weren't able to do it at all, you just forgot, and Naples allies someone very powerful like Austria or France or Castile, those are all very common. Don't worry, you can get them later. Some time has passed, and you should have enough government reform progress to get a Tier 2 government reform. Now, since the update, all of these are really, really good. And the missionaries are really good, the virtues of the public here, all of these are really, really good. Authoritarianism is not that great just because you don't need the absolutism for quite a long time. Republicanism is definitely really good. I would recommend either one of these three. The religious values, you really don't need the missionary, and the rest of that stuff is not that great. So I'd recommend any one of these. The national manpower is amazing. The meritocratic rule is very nice too. That goods produce is very, very powerful. Republicanism is really nice. So I think I'm going to choose the virtues of the politia. What you should also be doing is having your diplomats set to improving with outraged countries at all times, just because the aggressive expansion in Italy is very, very high, and even though a lot of these countries will be leaving the HRE very soon, the AE is just so high because of all the dev, even from these tiny little nations. And at this point, anytime after 1450, the Renaissance has spawned. Unfortunately, in our case, the Renaissance did not spawn here. It spawned, like I said, in usually a tiny little one province minor, in our case, Montferrat. But don't worry, you're in Italy, so you will get it very quickly. It'll spread to you, and you should be able to embrace it for basically for free or for very, very little money. And like I was saying, in our case, the Neapolitans actually attacked the Papal States here, I believe. No, they attacked Aragon, who are allied with the Papal State. I don't really know why they did this. They can't take on both. I mean, I guess they kind of can, but it's the AI brain, and the AI brain is not very smart. So it looks like Naples is probably going to die, but we'll see how this war ends up. I'm keeping an eye out because the Papal State is allied with Bologna, so if they don't join, then I will definitely pounce on Bologna, but we'll see what happens. And just like I was saying, in Italy, you should be able to link with both Austria and France. I was just able to royal marry France, so I will soon be able to ally them. And just like that, there we go. After a couple months of improving with France and royal marrying them, I am able to ally them. So by this point in the game, your alliance network should look something like this. You don't need Saluzzo. I just have them because they are a nice, useful ally. They bring a little bit of extra troops, and with a one province minor, it is actually very easy to curry favors with them. You get favors very, very quickly, so they're very good to call into wars, and oftentimes the AI will spend all or a lot of their troops just to siege down this one mountain province. So that's why I keep Saluzzo in, but you don't need them, and if you need the Diplo slot for whatever reason, feel free to break your alliance with Saluzzo. Milan is another ally that you don't necessarily need, however they make things a lot easier, especially if you're fighting Venice. And now that we have enough favors, we are able to call in our two allies, Milan and Saluzzo, and we're about even with the Papal State and Savoy. Hopefully Milan will focus on Savoy, and depending on the AE, we'll either fully annex Ferrara, or we will vassalize them. So let's go. And if, like me, your rulers die at not very young ages, yes, this guy was not young at all, we can just select another ruler. Again, it depends on what type of points you need. I'm going to select him again because he's really good. However, you need to make sure that you do not dip below the threshold for Republican tradition, as you can fall into a military dictatorship, which is not the worst thing, by the way. It is actually quite good. However, if you want to stay as a republic for for Florence, and there is some great roleplay aspects to it, and it also does allow Florence to become quite powerful just because you can see the mana generation of your heirs and rulers. You should make sure that you don't dip below that 50% threshold. Okay, so I was able to just white peace the Pope and peace out Savoy for a little bit of money and some war reps. Once you're able to do that, there are two things that you can do here. You can either fully annex Ferrara, which in my case is about 40 AE, which is not bad. However, since they do have two provinces and do have a somewhat substantial navy, you could also just vassalize them, which that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to vassalize them. It does cost Diplo power, which I don't mind losing, and it is less AE, so I'm going to vassalize them and take all of their money. By this point, like me, you should have enough to embrace the Renaissance. You can wait until it spreads to more provinces, which that's actually what I'm going to do, so I can only embrace it for 1 ducat if I wait. Now I have to pay 68. If I just wait a little bit longer, maybe another year or so, I'll only have to pay 1 ducat. So I'm going to go ahead and wait. And as you can see here, we have waited for the Renaissance to be present in every single one of our provinces. So now we can embrace the Renaissance for 1 single ducat, and then we can tech up. And we also completed a mission here, which is the Florentine Renaissance. Very, very powerful mission here. And once we get our stability, our Republican tradition up to 90, we'll be able to click this. We've lost it again because we re-elected to get this guy. However, I do think it was worth it, seeing as we have the very high mana generation. And as you can see, through improving relations, I was actually able to ally Castile, which is very handy, as I will use them to attack Aragon. I am over my limit, but that's okay. I can just break my alliance with someone else, or I can maintain it, seeing that it actually is worth it. But at this point in the game, your alliance network should look something like this. Have at least 1 or 2 allies in Italy, although that's not necessary. Have Austria and France, or at the very least Austria and maybe Castile or Aragon. If you have Siena dev'd up to, 20, and you get this event, you can actually spawn fastening, which is very nice, because then that changes the trade good to gems, which is a lot more powerful than glass. So keep an eye out for that. I also noticed that Aragon has lost all of their allies for some reason and has almost no troops, and they're getting attacked by Castile. So now is the time for me to attack them. They actually hold Naples, so I'm going to go ahead and attack Aragon for Naples. For your first idea group is Florence, I'd recommend taking innovativeness ideas. Now, there's arguments to be made by people that say that it'll slow down your tech. However, that is not true. We are already producing a lot of admin tech here, so it really won't slow us down. So you should take innovativeness as your first ideas, and it has a lot of really good stuff. This prestige decay is very nice, although we don't struggle with prestige. The innovativeness gain, of course, is good. The tech cost is insane, because in our national ideas, we already have a tech cost discount. As you can see here, tech and idea cost, which is very powerful. This only makes that even more powerful. Possible advisors is good. The institution spread is nice too. The war exhaustion is great, but the leaders without upkeep is amazing too. The free policy is great. This basically means that you don't have to pay any mana for any of the policies. You get an extra free policy. You get one that's free. And the ending idea, I think, is the best of them all. The advisor cost minus 25%. Very, very powerful, as well as the policies that you can do with innovativeness also make it extremely powerful. So if your first ID group is Florence, you should take innovativeness. For your next government reform as Florence, you can pick from these 4. You could either do frequent elections, consolidation of power, which could actually be quite useful, formalize the right of re-election, or you could do sortition. Now, depending on what you are trying to achieve, you could choose between these 2. Consolidation of power really is not, it doesn't affect you. Maximum absolutism doesn't matter. And the frequent elections, I don't really know why you would do that. I guess the only reason you could do that is maybe, I don't know, to get better candidates, but that's not really something that can happen from that. Yearly corruption is fine. However, I do think sortition is the best, especially because all the skills of the elected ruler change by 1, and they only occur when the ruler dies. And we have something really good here. So you can choose between either of these. This basically makes it work like the Venetian government type. So we'll go ahead and do sortition, especially since this ruler is really good. And right now, I'm just finishing up the war with Aragon. I haven't done anything else. It just started. If you get enough Splendor and you're able to select your Splendor idea, you should take the Justified Wars. You're going to be getting so much aggressive expansion in Italy that this 10% will make it very much worth it. So we actually have enough war score to peace out with Aragon. I'm not really going to 100% them. I'm just going to let my vassal finish sieging down here. And the reason I'm not going to 100% them is because, well, number one, it's not necessary. Number two, I noticed something. I just got a notification here that the Venetians have actually been attacked by the Ottomans. This is what we have been waiting for, because Venice has actually started declaring or guaranteeing Bologna. And so this is what we've been waiting for a very long time. So I'm just going to wait until the Ottomans beat the Venetians a bit and the Venetians won't join. Or I could also just declare, and while the Venetians are distracted, siege down their lands. So definitely wait for this opportunity. If you miss the initial Albanian war like I did, which I didn't even notice that, don't worry. The Ottomans will usually attack the Venetians again just because they see a lot of these Venetian lands as very vital interests, and the Venetians like to just guarantee random people. In my case, they're guaranteeing the Bologna, but sometimes I've seen the Venetians, they'll guarantee Ragusa, they'll guarantee Bosnia, or just someone else stupid. So we got very lucky in this case. So I'm just going to finish up this Aragonese war and show you all the peace deal, and then from there wait a little bit and see which allies will join, and then we can attack the Venetians. Okay, so we have more than enough war score. The Aragonese are dying to the Castilians. Let's do this. Take all of their money, these two provinces, war reps, and that's it. With this new money from the Aragonese, graciously donated from them, I'm actually going to use it to build buildings. I do have an estate agenda, which is not expired yet, which is to build a church here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. What you should also be doing when you get money, whether you have it graciously donated by someone or you just get it, start building up marketplaces in all these centers of trade. So I'm going to build one here in Pisa and one here in Luca. And at around this time, sometimes earlier, sometimes a little bit later, you will get this pop-up here, where basically it's the Shadow Kingdom event. The Emperor always does this. They always abandon Italy. Now you can choose, you can say our country is a natural part of the empire. You lose 20 prestige. However, we are allied with Austria, who is still the emperor. So all we'll lose is this 20 prestige. We won't get the penalty, or we can leave. Now, it really is up to you what you want to do. Some people like to stay, some people like to leave. I like to stay just because I am allied to the emperor. So yes, you lose the prestige, but it's not that big of a deal. You should definitely stay if other people around you have stayed. Sometimes, especially these little one-province miners, if they are given free city status, which they shouldn't if you are gobbling them up quick enough. However, sometimes they will just choose to stay in the Empire. For whatever reason, the AI will calculate and think that all of the bad stuff that comes along with it is somehow worth it to prevent the player from conquering them. So just look around, see who stayed. Ferrara stayed, of course, but that's because they're my vassal, so if I leave, they will leave, I believe. So I'm going to stay just because I'm allied to the Emperor, and, you know, why not? If you have some spare points like I do, you can just dev all the really high-quality trade goods, so if you do get faceting, which you most likely will in Siena, of course, dev up the gems, and in Luca, dev up the cloth, and some of the wine. All of these are very high-value trade goods and will make you a lot of money, and are definitely worth deving, whether you hit the points cap or not, or if you just have some extra points to dev with. Okay, so at this point, depending on where the war is with the Venetians or the Ottomans, if a war does get declared, this can happen earlier, this can happen later, it can happen right now. You should declare on Venice. Now, I am not so lucky my allies will only join if I give them land. Even though I have plenty of favors with Austria, they still won't join for whatever reason. I have to give them land for them to join. So I guess I have to do that. I'm going to promise them some land, and I'm going to call in Milan while also promising them land. I'm probably going to give Milan something. I don't know if I'll give Austria anything. Probably not. But I'm going to go ahead and declare this war for the conquest of Ravenna. Ottomans are here, relieving the siege of Milan, killing the Venetians. Thank you, Ottomans. Thank you. I actually declared another war, and I don't think I mentioned this, or I might have. Since Bologna is basically allied with a ton of people, they're allied with Genoa, they are guaranteed by Florence, or by Venice. I just declared on them while I was in this war. Might as well. I am having to fight the Papal States, but they're no big deal. Since Venice is basically non-existent anymore and I already full occupied Genoa, this war is very easy. So I'm just attacking Bologna so I could finish off this mission here, which is the Tuscan birthright. The third war here is actually the Burgundian Succession War. The Austrians got the Burgundian inheritance, which is pretty normal. The French, of course, contested it, and this is what we're doing. We're fighting right now. I do believe we are going to win. It's just a matter of can the AI bring all of its forces to full muster. Alright, so here's the peace deal. I actually got my army stack wiped by the French, so I guess it's not true. You should be watching out for what the French do. But that's fine. I'm just rebuilding it. They killed all of my army and then they left, so it's not that big of a deal. As far as the peace deal with Bologna, you just need to full annex them, take all of their money. So there is some other people left, but no, with Bologna, just full annex them and take all of their money, and that should be a good peace deal. As far as the Venetian War, now this one, you can take some interesting stuff, and this will be the peace deal. 2 provinces for us, 2 for Austria, 1 for Milan, just to weaken Venice as much as possible. So, there we go. So right now, in order to complete the mission tree for Tuscan Birthright, we need to take the rest of these provinces. I don't think we need Mantua. No, we do not need Mantua. All we really need is Parma and our vassal, who I'm improving with right now, so we can annex them. I am going to break my alliance here with Milan, not before, of course, asking them for some free stuff. Like some free money, thank you, Milan, and then we will go ahead and break our alliance with them. Alright, there's the alliance with Milan broken, and after that we just need to wait until the 5-year truce is over, and after that truce, we will go ahead and attack them and take Parma. For your second age ability, you can take pretty much any one of these. The Edict is very nice. Colonies doesn't really matter. Cavalry to infantry ratio, that is just completely useless. So I'm going to go ahead and take the improved war taxes. Also, Austria broke their alliance with me. This is unfortunate. They wanted some of the stuff that I took, which, you know, can happen. This is quite normal to happen. We were going to have to break our alliance with them anyway. If this happens in your game, you can just try to find someone else to ally, like Bohemia or Poland, and that will be okay. I am actually going to ally Poland. I completed another mission here just by getting the nobility's loyalty greater than 62. I was able to do handpicked bureaucrats. And apparently this too, immaculate government. Very nice. If you reach this point in the game and you get to tier 4, now, a lot of these tier 4 reforms are really good ever since the update. We have Lands of the Church, although this gives a lot of clerical influence, curtail clerical privileges, expand temple rights, and the maintain balance of power. Now, all of these are really good. I think since we're playing in Italy and since we're so close to the Pope, I'm probably going to take the cathedrals, especially for that admin cost. The clerical influence is not the best. However, I think I'm going to take this just for the extra admin just for the extra admin advisor cost. And I think you should in your game as well. Alright, so the truce with Milan has ended. So what we're going to go ahead and do here is just attack Milan. As you can see, they really don't have any allies. I'll go ahead and call in Saluzzo just to make sure. I am also annexing my vassal of Ferrara. Now, if you do have Ferrara as a vassal and you are at war, don't forget to enable the scuddage. That way they won't get called in. Because if they get called in and they get sieged down, then the annexation will stop. So we'll go ahead and call in Saluzzo, make our war goal Parma, and let's go. All right, so peace deal done with Milan. I actually forgot to record that part, but basically you just need to take Parma, war reps, all of their money. I did give this core back to Venice because why not? My truce is going to be ending with them sooner, so I want this, so might as well just give it back to Venice so I can attack them. We did also fully annex our vassal of Ferrara. I think I did mention that, and now we have completed the mission of Tuscan Birthright here, which gives us claims on the rest of the Po Valley. So this is how your game should be looking by this point. You could have more. It's just the reason I did not want to take more is because aggressive expansion is very limiting. You could have way more, but you would also almost certainly have a coalition. Continuing game from this point, you, of course, will finish off innovative ideas. Your next idea will definitely be plutocratic. Plutocratic is just such a good idea group for republics. You don't get to take it that often either. The merchant is very nice. The Bill of Rights, all of this stuff is really, really good. All the merc costs and things like that, institution spread, it's all really good. You can have a policy with innovative, which gives some more advisor costs. From there, your third idea group can either be quality or economic. Both of these are really good. As far as your government reforms go, for tier 5, you definitely want to take either the Union of States or the administrative divisions. The rest here, the cultural administration, things like that, really is not that great. Tier 6 government reform, if you stay a republic, I would probably take their parliamentarianism, just because that's really good and the parliament can give you extra stuff. If you don't like the parliament for whatever reason or you find it annoying, go for the presidential system. That institution embracing cost is really nice, although it's not like you will be struggling to come up with funds to embrace the institution, but it's still very nice. 7, I would probably go from all of these, definitely go for either the Lockean Proviso. The Embrace the Economic Theory is also very nice. All of these are really good. The Embrace Free Trade, all of these are really, really good. Empower the Burghers is okay. However, I would steer clear, especially if you stay a Merchant Republic. They are already going to have so much influence that I don't really think it is worth it giving them even more influence. So, scratching off Empower the Burghers, I think you should probably take either Mercantilist approach or Embrace Free Trade. All of these are really good. Embrace the Economic Theory, however, is probably what I would take, just because the production efficiency is so nice. For your Tier 8 government reform time, it depends what you'd like. Consolidated power is quite nice for the re-election costs, however, the absolutism, it doesn't really apply to you, and typically if you are a republic in the age of absolutism, you'd want to flip to a monarchy anyway. Devolution of powers, this one is quite nice for the extra advisors, although that's really all that it's good for. The broadened executive powers can actually be quite nice. They updated this. It didn't used to have this. I think it only used to be stab. They did all powers costs, which there definitely is something to be said for this one, the -2 all powers costs. For Florence, I would probably take this one. If you're not going to take that one, take either New Men or Consolidated or Devolution of Powers. New Men is good too, but I think Broaden Executive Powers is definitely very nice. You can take any of these. All depends on of your idea groups, have policies, and what those policies are. So whether you select the admin possible policies or Diplo, so that's all up to you. I can't really say too much about that. If you don't really care or you're not really struggling to pay for the policies from the mana, just go the Principles of Enlightenment. Years of Separatism is very, very nice, especially if you start conquering all the Mediterranean, things like that, or more into Iberia. That will be very powerful. Landholders is really good. Citizenry is also very nice. I typically will choose between these, either landholders or citizenry. I do believe citizenry is slightly better just because of the extra morale of armies. For your tier 11 government reform time, definitely take appointment by committee. It's just really good, and it's the best one here. For tier 12, it's really up to you. Do you want to stay a republic? Do you want to become a federation? It's up to you, but ultimately these are the reforms that you should be taking. If I was to continue this game, I'd definitely, of course, conquer the Po Valley, but then also try to see if I can attack Naples since they're excommunicated. I also have some claims on Aragon. Unfortunately, they got beat by Castile because of the Iberian wedding. You can also start fabricating on some of these island nations that inevitably get set free. Whenever Aragon gets battered, Sardinia will always get set free. This has been a guide for Florence in EU4 1.34. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure that you leave a like and you subscribe. It helps out the channel substantially, and I'll see you all later for another EU4 video.